to all my melanated people, get you some sunscreen, okay? We need it too.
If you ever feel alone, cause yeah, sometimes we'll feel alone.
Okay, so I changed locations because I feel like y'all couldn't see me well, but for a very long time in my life, I was very set on fitting other people's goals, fitting other people's priorities. But when you finally step into your true self, and you really start doing what makes you happy, you'll realize that nothing else really matters. I think the majority of a lot of people's life experience is we always think that other people are judging us, but what we don't realize is everybody's worried about other people judging them unless you're confident. And I think sometimes confidence is misconstrued as, oh, I'm the baddest bitch, or, airing other people out. But somebody that is truly confident, when you truly step into your confidence, nothing really shakes you. And the thing that I always say is I don't really believe in this whole, I'm the baddest bitch in the room kind of mindset, because that in itself is putting yourself in competition with other people. And like how I always like to say, don't compete where you don't compare. And that's not me being, pompous or anything like that. It's just I'm my only competition. The only person that I want to be better than was the person that I was a year ago, the person that I was a week ago, the person that I was a month ago. I'm not in competition with anybody else, because it's just like, what do you win? What's the goal? I've just been taking every day as a blessing. We're not guaranteed to wake up in the morning. And I think that for me personally, I think a lot of people are searching for their purpose in life. For a very long time, I felt like I needed a particular purpose. I felt like I needed a goal or something specific to achieve. But as I get older, I'm starting to realize that the purpose of life is, for me personally, everybody has a different purpose, but the purpose of life for me is to simply exist and to share your art, to share your talents with the world. So I think that's one of the reasons why I've been so adamant about YouTube, is because child ADHD. So I'm always thinking, I'm always philosophizing and thinking very deeply. And I feel like even if this doesn't take off, I really don't care. This will just be like a personal video diary to me, just to see my growth. For a very long time, I thought confidence was, like I said, being kind of pompous, thinking you're the baddest, this, that, and the third. But the more and more I step into my confidence, and the more and more I really feel confident, like I said, the more I realize that it's simply just being comfortable with yourself. And I feel like we as humans, and just with the nature of our society, we put a lot of emphasis on our physical bodies and our physical, selves for, confidence. But regardless of how I look, how I may look in the future, how I may look now, I'm always going to be confident, because my confidence comes from within. I'm confident because I know, like I said, I'm not in competition with anybody but myself. And I have nothing to be, insecure about. I think in today's society, we are so pressured to be perfect. But I find beauty in the imperfections. I feel like there is no such thing as ugly. We have this idea of conventionally unattractive, in my opinion, is based in, European standards. But in general, I feel like our flaws are what make us human. Our flaws are what make us different. It's just these societal norms and these societal standards of who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to look at like. But the moment you just like I said, you step into your confidence and you just say, I don't give a damn what people think, you'll realize that nobody was really even looking at you in the first place. Kind of changes my mindset about things that I want in life. For a very long time, I thought money was the goal. I thought I needed to be rich and I wanted to be wealthy. But like I said, as I get older and more mature, I realized that I just want peace. I just want a normal ass life. I have a lot of talents that I want to share, and if those take me somewhere else, I'm all here for it. But at the same time, if I live a normal, peaceful life where I get just to do the things that I like, do the hobbies I can, work just to provide for myself, or if I decide to have kids, I'm completely fine with that. And I feel like, especially my generation, I'm 21, so the 2000 babies, we kind of grew up on social media to a certain extent. So we all kind of have this idea that we need to be so many different places that we don't need to be. I feel like social media is an amazing tool, but it also can be something that you need to take a step back from, because it's like you you're always looking at other people's lives. It makes you question yourself. It makes you want to be in places that you wouldn't have even else thought about if it wasn't for social media. Now, I do think social media can push you. If you know, I never want to tell people to become complacent, but the grass is not always greener on the other side. And I feel like we always look at other people's lives and say, "Oh, I wish I had this. I wish I had that." But one, you don't know what people had to do to get there, and two, you don't know what people are going through behind the scenes. Social media is nothing but never judge a book by its cover, and I always understand that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Moving on, I think self-love is something that we should all actively be trying to like work towards. I think, like I said, just with confidence, we kind of base it on our physical self, and it's nothing wrong. Like, you should feel good about your body, whatever shape you have, whatever physique you have, no matter what, you know, society tells you you're supposed to look like, because society has a very small standard of what is acceptable. When you have that self-love for yourself, and it's definitely, I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes, y'all. Oh my God. When you have that self-love for yourself and you really can look at yourself and say, I'm beautiful, you know, not because I look like this or because of my physical self, but because I am intrinsically beautiful. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like the moment I stop placing my beauty on my, you know, the moment I stop placing my self-worth in my appearance, I feel a lot better. Because yes, it's nothing wrong with taking care of your temple. Your body is important and being healthy is important. But when it comes to killing yourself to fit a standard, it's never worth it. Moving on, I have been learning. I've always been a very social person. I've always been a very down-to-earth person. I always feel like I've been told, I'm not trying to like brag or nothing, that, you know, I'm easy to talk to, that I just get along with everybody. And for a very long time, I feel like I always needed a friend, or I always needed friends, and I've never had trouble making friends. But something that I've realized as I get older is everybody that's your friend is not your friend. Let me say that again. Everybody that's your friend is not your friend. A lot of times, especially I feel like with women, like having, you know, other women friends, or other, I don't like saying female friends, but other female friends, like sometimes like people will just be friends with you because they're in friendly competition with you. And that basically means like people are okay being friends with you, being cool with you, until you start doing better than them. And I've had this happen to me so many times where I was insecure, and I got into friendships. And the thing about me moving into friendships, especially with, you know, neurotypical people, or people who don't, how can I put it? People who have more of a neurotypical ideal on friendships and relationships. A lot of times I would find myself in friendships where I was putting way more energy emotionally than they were, or I was just, you know, I was more friends with them than they were friends with me. And I said that all to say it's okay to have a small circle. And the smaller my circle has gotten, honestly, the better I feel about myself. Like I said, a lot of people are in friendly competition with you. So a lot of times people that will, you know, say they're your friends don't really want to see you do well. So, you know, you get in friendships with people, and the moment you start doing better, they're low-key sabotaging you. They're saying things to knock your confidence on the low. Watch what people say in jokes, because when people are joking, oftentimes there's truth in jokes. So if they're making little comments or little, you know, snidey remarks, or backhanded compliments, 9 times out of 10 they mean it. And you know, you'll say like, girl, that's not cool, this and the third, and they'll dismiss you and say, oh no, you're being you know, sensitive, this and the third. Don't believe them, because 9 times out of 10 they mean that. And if somebody actually cares about you, and you say, hey, this makes me a bit uncomfortable, this isn't something that, you know, I find funny, and they still continue to do that, that's not your friend. So understand that it's okay to have a small circle. It's okay to not have friends at all. I think it's important to have community. I think it's important to have people in your life that care about you, but you don't always have to be around to be strong within yourself. And that's something that I'm working. I've always been good with making friends. But I feel like, especially if you did not grow up with a healthy environment, I grew up in a very abusive environment, that your childhood sets the framework for the relationships you build in real life. So for me, I kept finding myself in really narcissistic, abusive friendships, because that's the kind of environment I grew up around. So that's all I knew. So So now as I, get to know myself and get more comfortable with myself, I can really discern, I believe that's the term, people when they're being authentic. If you don't love yourself, if you don't have that self-love first, how the hell is somebody else supposed to love you? If you don't love you, who how are you going to let somebody tell somebody else they need to love you? Because the one thing that I've realized is when you have that self-love for yourself and you carry that energy that you're loved, people are only going to be able to pick up on that. Energy is such a real thing. And for the longest, as somebody that's not really religious, I kind of got a little too scientific. But the energy that you carry, y'all, I'm fighting these bugs. I am so sorry. But the energy you carry will really just make the interaction you have differently. When I walk around, I walk with my head high. I got my little walk that I do. I try to be a little put together, have a cute outfit on if I can. And the interactions I have with people are so much better because, when you look put together, when you're confident, no matter how you look, because again, beauty definitely plays a role, sadly, in how you're treated in society. But in general, even if you're not the conventionally attractive person, if you have that confidence, sometimes that's enough just to pump through and, really get through and have people respect you. So I think this year especially, I have just been working on, stepping into myself, stepping into my confidence, being more confident, like going out, doing stuff by myself more, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because if you only stay in your comfort zone, you never change, you never grow. And growth is imperative for everything. I like to use the analogy that, like, think of still water. Still water that stays still normally has bacteria, it's nasty, it's dirty. Got it. It's water that flows, that stays fresh and clean. Things that change grow. So if you're not growing, then you're not doing it, baby. You need to constantly be growing. It amazes me. It amazes me how different I am and how more mature I am just 2 years ago. And that's always very indicative of if I've actually been putting in the work to grow. Therapy is very important, but it's not an option for everybody. Personally, I've kind of been on and off with it. I haven't really been able to find a therapist that really works for me. But even if you don't have a therapist, I found that journaling, especially as somebody that overthinks, when you start to get into those moments where you feel like you're overthinking or you're getting into your head, journal. Write your thoughts out. Get those thoughts on paper. Personally, I like to keep them just to look back on them. But if it helps you to, throw it away, or I like to keep mine on a computer and just so I can look back on it after a few years. But if it makes you feel better to journal something and throw it away or burn it, if that gives you peace, then do that. Life is about, everybody is different. Everybody has different trauma. Everybody has different things that they're going through. But you, as somebody that in the past have struggled with what I like to call like spiraling, for example, if something traumatic happened or something that affected me negatively happened, I tend to just spiral and get in my head and just get stuck. But appreciate it. Miah, Angelica Ross, she made a really good point. She was like, it's okay to fall. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's important to process those emotions. It's important to feel those, but you can't sit in those emotions. And I feel like it's a very big difference between processing emotions and sitting in them. Everybody processes stuff differently. Again, I'm autistic, so again, I process emotions a little differently. I'm a little bit more emotionally sensitive. So some things that some people might say, well, girl, that's not that serious. It's serious to me. So that doesn't mean that you're going to process emotions the same as somebody else, but never allow your emotions to control you. Journaling has been very, important for me because it allows me to ask myself, just as you would in therapy, like, well, why do I feel this way? Where are these emotions coming from? How do they make me feel? And how do I grow from this? You always need to solve the problem because, you can sit in pity and be sad about whatever position you are in life, or you can go outside and live. And I always like to say that I'd rather die trying than die crying. So just kind of moving to the end of this video, I feel like you should take every day like it's your last. No matter where you're at in life, I have been at some very low points in my life where I feel like suicide or killing myself, I don't know if I can say that on here, was the only answer. But to anybody that's like struggling with mental health, or you're just struggling to find your place in this world, especially my younger babies, like, just understand that it always gets better. You know, I remember, I'm 21 now. I remember being 17 and just thinking that my life was over. Like, literally feeling like everything that I had worked for up until that point was done. And I just felt like, you know, what's the point, man? Like, I don't I don't have a place on this planet. I don't have a purpose. I just feel pointless. But just in 2 years, my life has changed so dramatically for the better. From my own work and just, you know, how life has gone. It really told me that, you know, it gets better, you know, and it might not happen now, but suicide isn't the answer, because at the end of the day, things change. Whatever is making you feel like you can't move on will change. And it's all about pushing through. Feel the emotions, but push through. So I want to leave y'all with this. You are valid, and these are just like affirmations you could say to yourself in the morning, or you could just say it now. Who these bugs, y'all? You know, you are valid. You are where you are supposed to be. You are beautiful inside and out. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of kindness. You are powerful, and you are in control. And I try to say that to myself often because I feel like words have power. Stop speaking negatively on yourself, baby. Stop telling yourself you can't do things, that's impossible, or that will never happen, because it will never happen. You, first and foremost, are in control of your brain, of your mind. We so often think that we're out of control, but in reality, we have the most control. If we don't have control over anything else, we have control over our mind and our sense of self. So step into yourself, know that you are right where you're supposed to be and you're going in the right direction. And even if you feel sad and you feel like life's not going right, it gets better. And I hope that, you know, y'all are in good places, and if you're in a bad place, I see you. I'm virtually hugging you, and I hope that one day you'll see what I'm saying, or hopefully this touched you and moved you. But thank you so much for watching my first video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be back with the next one. Bye.